I now invite the Provost and Senior Vice President, Professor Mark Palange, to present a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Chancellor, Dr. Dianne Winkler is a practicing occupational therapist with a remarkable record of accomplishments through her research. Quite early in her career, Dr. Winkler turned to the particular challenges facing young people with severe brain injuries, neurodegenerative disorders, or other conditions that cause significant and often complex disabilities resulting in high care needs. She researched and reported on the often inadequate and inappropriate systems of care provided for this group of people, which frequently saw young people with high care needs being permanently housed in aged care. With her research, Dr. Winkler completed a Doctor of Philosophy at Monash University, which involved a series of studies that focused on young people in nursing homes. In 2006, Dr. Winkler founded the Summer Foundation to help solve the issue of young people with disability who are placed in this position. The Summer Foundation is a nonprofit organization that uses research, stories, and prototypes to advance awareness and advance positive change for health, disability, housing, and aged care policy and practice. Since its launch, the Summer Foundation has supported young people in nursing homes to write their stories and illustrate them with photos and to produce short videos that share their experiences more broadly. Young people with high levels of cognitive, communication, and physical disability have been supported to participate in media opportunities and public speaking opportunities. In 2013, the Summer Foundation completed a housing demonstration project with 6 apartments peppered throughout a 59-unit development in Inner Melbourne in partnership with the Transport Accident Commission and Common Equity Housing Limited. In 2016, a second housing demonstration project was completed with 10 apartments for people with disability peppered throughout a 110-unit private development in New South Wales. The housing projects successfully demonstrate that investment in good quality housing that is well designed and well located and that incorporates smart home technology combined with support that fosters independence will reduce the long-term liability of the National Disability Insurance Agency. Chancellor, it gives me the greatest pleasure today to present to you for admission to the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, to Dianne Faye Winkler.
With the authority of council, I admit you, Dianne Faye Winkler, to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. I now have much pleasure in inviting a new honorary doctorate, Dr. Dianne Winkler, to deliver today's graduation address.
Chancellor, Mr. Simon McCann, Provost and Senior Vice President, Professor Mark Palange, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences, Professor Christina Mitchell, members of the faculty, ladies and gentlemen, and especially new graduates. Thank you so much for the honour of being here today. I want to tell you about some young people that have had a huge impact on my life. I want to tell you about Ange Barker. Ange was just 16 years old when she was bashed to near death by her ex-boyfriend. She sustained permanent and profound brain injury. Her parents were told that Ange would not recover and to put her in a nursing home. An experience that Ange describes as pure hell. In my work as an occupational therapist for more than 20 years, I've met many people like Ange. In 1990, I started working in a rehabilitation facility, and we provided long-term accommodation for people with the most severe brain injuries who needed 24-hour support. And during these years, I saw profoundly injured people make significant gains when they were provided with rehabilitation support and a home-like environment. So my interest in research and the potential of people with severe disabilities started at this facility. So based on the neuroscience and rehabilitation literature at the time, people with brain injury were routinely told not to expect any recovery after 2 years. But this was inconsistent with my clinical observations. I saw people make slow but really functional and significant gains for many years post-injury. We now know that the adult brain is a lot more plastic than we previously thought. I also worked in an acute rehabilitation facility, and we discharged young people to nursing homes. So I was often really frustrated by the lack of housing and support options for the people that I was working with. Then I was on holiday in North America, and I'd heard about a fantastic rehabilitation service in Canada. So I took a detour to visit the service. They were doing some really great work in integrating people with severe brain injuries back into the community. One project I saw was an apartment complex with accessible apartments peppered throughout a larger development. So the people with disability were in the community, but they were co-located so they could share support. And I remember thinking on my flight home that model of housing and support would be great for a lot of the people that I was working with, but at the time, Australians didn't really live in large apartment complexes. So I took family leave for 5 years when my girls were young, and I thought a lot about returning to work. And I loved working with people one-on-one. But I decided that I could make a bigger difference by doing research and working to change systems. So in 2005, I started my PhD to provide an evidence base to change policy and practice around the issue of young people in nursing homes. 200 Australians under 50 enter aged care each year in Australia. There's a drastic shortage of accessible and affordable housing in Australia. Young people end up in aged care because they fall through the gap between the hospitals and the disability service system. The two systems operate on completely different timeframes. For example, if a younger person with a severe brain injury is in hospital, as soon as they're medically stable, there's some pressure to move them out of a hospital bed. But disability services tend to take weeks or months to determine whether there's an appropriate housing option available for people sitting in hospital. So my PhD found that the lives of young people in nursing homes are characterised by boredom, loneliness and grief. 53% receive a visit from a friend less than once a year. Almost half never go on trips to the shops, the movies or sports events. Young people in nursing home are denied many of the everyday choices that you and I take for granted. Where to live, who to live with, what to eat and when. These are people who could live in the community if they were provided with the right housing and support at the right time. During my research, I met and interviewed many young people in nursing homes and their families. And they often described the long and difficult journey to find the information they needed to make an informed choice about housing and support. and people often thought that they were the only ones in that particular situation. One father was devastated when he was looking at different aged care facilities. People kept asking him whether he was looking for a place for his dad, and he kept having to say, "No, I'm looking for a place for my son." So the pragmatic side of me kicked in, and I saw some practical things that I could do that would really make a difference that weren't part of my PhD. I also realised that a PhD thesis wasn't enough. To solve the issue of young people in nursing homes, I needed to engage government and develop potential solutions. So in 2006, I founded the Summer Foundation to achieve these goals. So since then, the National Disability Insurance Scheme has been established. And the NDIS is an exciting and significant part of the solution, and it will provide the critical funding for support that our cohort need to live in the community. But it's not a silver bullet. So today, the Summer Foundation operates as a systems entrepreneur. We are changing the systems that admit young people to nursing homes and leave them there. Our 4 objectives are to make sure that young people in nursing homes get access to the NDIS, to build the range and scale of housing needed, to prevent new admissions of young people to aged care, and ensuring that people with disability living in the community get access to the proactive health services they need to sustain community living. So our research provides an evidence base for policy and practice change. We support people with disability to tell their stories, and this keeps the issue of young people in nursing homes on the public and political agenda. We develop prototypes to test potential solutions, and we capture and share knowledge to build the capacity of people with disability, families, and other organisations. Our storytelling program is unique. We've supported 107 young people in nursing homes to tell their stories. And what we find is that when young people in nursing homes speak directly to politicians in a range of forums, it's been a really powerful lever for change, especially if we can provide the research and also the potential solutions. So our most successful prototype to date is our model of housing. So in Australia, the predominant model of housing for people with disability are group homes where 5 people with disability who are unrelated are expected to live with each other. But people with acquired disability are just like you and me, and then something happens. They have a severe brain injury from an assault or an accident, or they're diagnosed with something like MS. Over 50% have a partner, and about a third are parents of school-aged children. So they want to live in their own homes. So by 2008, more apartments were being built in Melbourne, and so we started to talk to developers, architects, governments, and financial institutions about building the model of housing and support that I'd seen in Canada. So we started off with two prototypes, one in Melbourne and one in Newcastle. Our Newcastle housing project has 10 apartments for people with disability peppered throughout 110-unit private development. So this enables some people to actually live with their partner or live with their children, or at least have their kids over on the weekend, as well as get access to the support that they need. An additional unit on site provides a base for disability support workers to provide 24-hour support on call. The location, design and smart home and communications technology in the apartments maximises people's independence and autonomy. So in 2017, we founded a sister entity called Summer Housing, specifically to replicate and scale our housing projects. Summer Housing is working with residential developers to build apartments for people with severe disability, and they're peppered throughout the mainstream developments. So Summer Housing has 150 apartments in the pipeline and aims to commission 300 apartments by 2022. So the effect of these projects is that we're changing thinking about what's possible in housing for people with disability. So what will success look like for our housing projects? We want others to replicate and copy this model of housing, both for the young people in nursing homes and other people with disability. But in the long term, we want housing for people with disability just to be routinely incorporated into the development of all housing. So back to Ange Barker. Ange demonstrates the potential of people with severe disability and the value of investing in housing and support. Ange's parents couldn't bear to see her deteriorating in a nursing home. After 2 years, they turned their lives upside down and they took Ange home. For more than a decade, they advocated tirelessly for therapy, supports, equipment and housing to assist Ange achieve her full potential. So today, Ange lives in her own unit, and she makes a significant contribution to society. She educates the public about the social injustice of young people in nursing homes through media and public speaking, but she's also spoken to over 27,000 young people about relationship violence. And she's also been working for a bank part-time for a few years now. Ange would never have realised her potential languishing in a nursing home. And it's sobering to think of the thousands of other young people with just as much potential. So what's next? A few weeks ago, we appointed a new CEO at the Summer Foundation. So I'm now the Chief of Research and Innovation, and I get to focus on my two favourite areas of work. At the Summer Foundation, we now have great talent, a broad range of expertise, and terrific depth of leadership. We have the people, the model, and the momentum to solve the issue of young people in nursing homes in the next 5 to 10 years. I love what I do, and I hope you can tell that. I also hope and pray that each of you, at the beginning of your career, find work that you're passionate about. There is an enormous amount of potential in this room today. You have at least one degree, and you're also in the richest 1% of people in the world. You have a choice. You can squander your potential by doing perhaps what's expected of you, chasing material comfort and superficial success, or you can lead a rich and rewarding life by making a difference, thinking big, taking some risks, and changing systems. Graduates, congratulations on your achievement today. Take this moment to celebrate the result of your hard work and your persistence, and then ask yourself, what am I going to do? What difference am I going to make? As Theodore Roosevelt said, far and away the best prize that life has to offer is a chance to work hard at work worth doing. Thank you.